As we've been telling you this morning on The Start, Winnipeg's City Council approved $20 million in funding for a proposed $400 million redevelopment of Portage Place Mall. After heated debate yesterday, the total package equals $20 million of support and includes tax increment financing.
By passing the updated motion, City Council kept the deal with Starlight alive. It's not a done deal yet. The funding was passed 9 councillors to 7. Last half hour, we heard from a councillor on either side of the vote. Both Scott Gillingham and Brian Mays described the process as less than perfect.
We cut off the question period when Starlight was there. I had questions about their profitability, didn't get a chance to ask. So I just thought the process was atrocious. I said so on the floor of council, and I think if we're going to be throwing that much money at a company with $14 billion, we should take more than, half an hour of prep time to explain $20 million.
Richard Cloutier, does Councillor Mays have a future as an analyst, sports, politics, or otherwise?
Yeah, he does. Mays was bang on, but this goes back, and I'll circle back to the mayor's office and Mayor Brian Bowman in a moment, but this goes back to the fact that they had this proposal on the desk of the interim chief administrative officer at the end of January. And I think what offended me the most was last week at Executive Policy Committee. Was walked on to Executive Policy Committee. There was a report done by the city administration, and the mayor and some of his top people were chortling and slapping themselves on the back and saying, look at what a good job that we have done to get this in time for the last meeting in July. And, record time. They had since last January. And and this all goes, guys, to the fact that we don't have a CAO right now. We have an interim one, more than qualified to kind of maintain what's going on at City Hall, but we need somebody new in that post. And this has been essentially vacant for more than a year now. It's like the hockey team that fires the coach, and you put in an interim coach that would want the job, and they are so motivated to get the final job. But instead, what Bowman has done is, promoted somebody that's looking to retire. And it all falls on the fact that there was really no meetings with Starlight of a meaningful purpose until really the last hour of this thing. So if, Mays won't say it because I was on Executive Policy Committee, and neither will Gillingham, but this lies with the mayor. It really does, because he doesn't have a chief administrative officer whose job would be, and if this is going to be a big piece of the puzzle of downtown, you make this a priority. And you get out there and you form the committee to start negotiating between the province, the feds, the city, early on, not at the last hour, at the last meeting before the kids at City Hall prorogue for the summer. And that's what happened yesterday. It was ugly, but this could and should have been avoided.
And Councillor Mays suggesting that city's not going to have any credibility anymore when they tell people they don't have any money, because they said they don't have money, but they were able to dig up an extra $9 million in a couple of days.
And I'll tell you why that happened. And it happened as a result of your interview with Kevin Klein. Klein was on with you guys yesterday morning following the 8 o'clock news, and he sounded like a mayor in waiting, somebody that was willing to expend these resources simply because he sees Starlight as being a key part of downtown renewal. And Mays said that when he got into the office at 8:45, the 11 million from the day before had turned into 20 because Klein had a motion on the floor that was better than theirs. And, if it takes somebody like Klein, who is new to politics, to be able to do this with some success. His vote lost at City Hall. Everybody backed the Cindy Gilroy motion, which really was the mayor's motion. It does tell you something about the dysfunction at City Hall. But they heard that interview, and they heard rumblings of Klein's motion, and then boom, everybody gets to work, and suddenly the 5 from the last week had turned into the 11 that's now the 20. But I'll tell you guys, Starlight wants this over 10 years, not 20 years. And their senior person, Joshua Kaufman, was on with us yesterday afternoon on the news, and he basically said, yeah, it's a good start. We're at the bargaining table, but this deal is not done yet. I do expect that they're going to come back to the city, and Mays is right. The credibility of this, and this goes back to the mayor, guys, and message to the mayor. You've got a month now where you're going to take some time off. And I realize that we're in COVID times. I realize that we're dealing with some unprecedented situations. But if you want the job, if you want to stay in the job, you have to be engaged in the job. And guys, what's happened here is Bowman has had some pretty serious losses in the courts. He lost on impact fees. He lost on pension. Two of the key parts of his re-election strategy last time. He's got 2 more years. Does he want the job, or is he looking for a federal appointment?